Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to XPSTECH. I'm Vineet, and first of all, where have I been for past 1.5 months since my last video? Well, actually, I was in the process of making a review video on macOS Big Sur. I also posted a picture on the community page of my channel to give you guys a quick heads up on what's coming next. But unfortunately, I got unwell for a few days and I had very COVID-like symptoms. So I got tested and I was COVID positive. So I had to get myself admitted to a hospital, and long story short, I did not get time for the video, and now since it's more than a month, I decided not to make the Big Sur review video at this stage, but I'm going to do a detailed review once the final release comes out. And as far as my health is considered, I'm doing fine now. My recent test for COVID was negative and I'm currently at home. And I also feel much better overall. So all is well and I have decided to start getting back to work. I would also like to thank you, my subscribers, for your patience and sticking up with me. Alright, so today's video is about a fairly new Linux distro, which has started to gain a lot of traction in recent months. The distro I'm talking about is Endeavour OS, which celebrated its first anniversary few days back. Now it's an Arch-based Linux distro, and if you remember Antergos OS, which used to be a popular and promising Arch-based distro, but unfortunately things did not go well for Antergos and it was discontinued last year. Well, this project comes out from the same Antergos community, but Endeavour OS follows a different approach to package management. Therefore, it's not a successor to Antergos in real sense, but it's an interesting distro and it's sort of filling the void left by Antergos. So let's check out Endeavour Linux and find out if it has the potential to be your daily driver. Now, before we go any further, I want to very quickly tell you about IPVanish, which is world's top rated VPN service that helps you protect your online activity by encrypting all your network traffic and masking your IP address. Now, they have servers in over 75 locations and you can choose any server of your choice. So I can select the country, let's say Sweden, and click connect. And it's connected. It's that easy to use. Now all my network traffic will go out to the internet from Sweden. So if I go to YouTube, it shows me the trending videos in Sweden. IPVanish supports popular streaming services like Netflix and also allows torrenting files. You get unlimited bandwidth, there's no cap. You can use it on 10 devices simultaneously with just one subscription. I have been using it for a few days and I'm really impressed with the service. The speed is excellent and it's available for all platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, and also for mobile OS like iOS and Android. So if you're looking for a VPN service for your personal use or for office purpose, I highly recommend you try IPVanish. And if you want to support this channel, you can get IPVanish by clicking on the link in the description below. Their prices are also very affordable. So do check it out by clicking the link in the description. Alright, so now let's begin. Now the installation image of Endeavour OS can be downloaded from its website. There's a single installation image. You also have the option for torrent file if you have slow internet connection. The installation image size is around 1.8 gigs, which is pretty standard size for Linux distros. Now, one of the biggest advantage of an Arch-based Linux distro is that they are bleeding edge. These systems have the latest version of all the softwares, and with Arch, you're using the most up-to-date technology. And Endeavour OS, being an Arch-based distro, gives you all that. The system installation is handled by Calamares installer, which is the same installer used by Manjaro Linux, but it is customized to include few additional options. Right at the start, you are provided with the option to go for online or offline installation. The offline installation installs the base system with XFCE desktop, but if you have an internet connection, I recommend you go for online installation. This not only gives you the most updated softwares, but also the option to choose your favorite desktop environment from a variety of popular desktop environment. And as I was saying, this is a bleeding edge distro. You also have the option to install Deepin version 20 desktop, which is still in beta stage, so it's that bleeding edge. And just for the sake of testing, I'm going to go with Deepin desktop and also add GNOME desktop. Now the installation time depends on the speed of the internet connection and also the choices that you make during installation. For me, with 2 desktop environment, it took around 15 to 18 minutes. Now once the installation is over and you get to the login screen, here you have all the desktop environment options. You can choose the DE and then login. Let me first log in with Deepin version 20. So this is the desktop, and it's the same version 20 desktop that you get in beta version of Deepin Linux. On the first boot, you get this welcome app. It's an app that gives you general information about the system, which is helpful for new Linux users. There's also after install tab that lets you choose repo mirrors, display manager, update the system before you start using it. Add more apps gives you choice to install your favorite softwares like browser, mail client, etc. if you're not happy with the default available. Now, as far as the desktop is considered, this is the beta version of Deepin desktop. But for a beta version, this is still pretty stable and I have not encountered any major issues. This desktop looks really good. And the viewers of my channel knows that I am a huge fan of Deepin desktop. And it's not solely because of looks. In terms of functionality also, Deepin is pretty solid. They have the best HIDPS scaling, the translucency controls are excellent, and apart from light and dark mode for the entire desktop, there's also an option to change individual app to light and dark mode, so you can do a combination of sorts and customize it to your liking. Now after the desktop, the next important part is softwares available. Endeavour OS has been very clear on this since the beginning. In fact, they were fully aware regarding the issues that led to the end of Antergos OS, and that's why they decided to use main Arch repos for all the softwares to be as close to Arch as possible. So software wise, you don't have to bother. You get the latest, most updated softwares directly from upstream. Endeavour also has its own repo which contains Endeavour specific apps like welcome app that you saw on the first boot, the customized calamitized installer, and few such other apps. There are very few, I think it's not more than 20 odd apps. Endeavour intentionally kept the apps to a minimum so that it's easier to maintain. Now unlike Debian or Ubuntu and all its derivative distros that uses apt for package management, Endeavour uses Pacman, which is an Arch package management tool. So if you're coming from Ubuntu based distro, there's a slight learning curve, but there's a detailed dedicated guide on how to use Pacman and all its command on Endeavour website for easy reference. Also, Endeavour follows rolling release model, so your system is continuously updated to the latest version of all the softwares. Alright, now let's talk about the system requirements. Now system requirements depends on the desktop environment that you choose. If you go with the modern desktops like Deepin, Cinnamon or Budgie, then 4GB RAM should give you a smooth experience. But if you're short on hardware, then I recommend you go with a lightweight desktop like XFCE or LXD, which will give you great performance for your hardware. Now the system performance is also pretty decent. In my test case on idle, I was getting around 1 GB of RAM usage on Deepin desktop. And in case of GNOME, it was a little higher at 1.2 gigs of RAM. Now the other important parameter of a Linux distro is availability of support. Now remember, this is just 1 year old distro and it's still evolving, but there's a pretty decent amount of help material available on their website. There's detailed guide on installation of various hardwares like your graphic cards, softwares like bootloaders. Plus, since this is an Arch based distro, Arch Wiki is always at your disposal. Now Endeavour also has its own forum which comes handy if you have any specific problem. Alright, so that was all for today, my final verdict. Now Endeavour OS is for those who want the bare bone Arch Linux but with pre-installed GUI desktop. It's pretty close to Arch Linux, so you get all the benefits, but it's a very new project, and in Linux, project life and availability of support is a big factor, and that's where distros like Manjaro have the advantage. But I think Endeavour is on the right path, and I recommend this to anyone who is looking for an Arch system but do not have the time to go through all the learning. Alright, so that was all for today. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, kindly press the like button. If you have any comment, suggestion or feedback, do type that in the comment box. Alright, thank you again for watching and I'll see you next time.